Hi, I'm Crystal Ashworth from Sputnik Moment. We help foundations customize and implement the FoundationConnect package developed by NPower. Today we're going to talk about using portal fields. Portal field records are used to display a field's label and help text on the grantee portal differently than they're displayed internally in Salesforce. For example, your foundation may wish to rename the EIN field on the inquiry and request records to read the full text employer identification number on the portal. Or you may wish to have help text on a field that instructs your online applicants on what they should enter there, but then separate help text that displays to your internal foundation staff, instructing them on what to do with the data in that field once it's received. The great thing about portal fields is that they also allow you up to 100 characters in length, whereas the standard Salesforce field label only allows up to 40 characters. This is helpful if you have a longer question that you need to ask your applicants. You can create a short name for the field that displays to your internal staff, and then create the longer question using a portal field record. The first step to creating a portal field record is determining which object you wish to create the portal field for. You can use portal fields on inquiries, requests, grantee reports, and external reviews. In this example, we're going to create the portal field record for an existing inquiry field. Portal field records are created in Salesforce and reflected on your FoundationConnect portal. Using the example I mentioned a moment ago, let's rename the EIN field to Employer Identification Number. We'll need a couple pieces of information from the inquiry record, so let's go to that object. I like to get to the object quickly by clicking on the tab and then using the Quick Access menu on the right-hand side to view the fields. The first thing you need to know is the object name. You may recall some discussions during your initial FoundationConnect configuration that the inquiry object is actually the standard Salesforce object called lead. The next thing we'll need is the Salesforce field name. I'm going to scroll down and find the EIN field. It's a custom field, so it'll be under your custom fields and relationships. And then we don't want the value of the field label, which is the EIN here. We want the field's API name, which is this longer one here. So I'm going to copy and paste that because we're going to need it in just a second. And our next step is going to be actually creating the portal field record itself. Now I'm going to change my app. So I'm going to scroll up to the top of the screen here and change my app to FC Portal Management. This app opens up a new arrangement of tabs for me, and I'm going to click on the Portal Fields tab. Click on the New button to start the process of creating a new portal field. The first field you have to fill out is called the portal field name. This is the name that you're giving the record. This is not where you're redefining what the new label of the field is going to be. The naming convention I like to use is the object name, in this case inquiry, followed by a period, and then I indicate the field that I'm updating. The Salesforce object name is the original name of the object, in this example, lead. And the Salesforce field name is that API field name that we just copied, so I'm going to paste that here. Now you can get fancy and create portal fields for different record types, which relate usually to people's programs in the foundation area. And these can be helpful if you wish to utilize one central field in Salesforce to capture data, but you want to relabel the field on the portal for each of your different programs. But we're not going to do that in today's tutorial. When you leave the record type blank, the system applies the portal field to all record types for that object. Okay, now the portal field label. This is where we make our update to how we want the field name to display on the portal. So I'm going to enter Employer Identification Number here. I'm also going to enter some help text. I'm just indicating to them how they need to enter the EIN number. Then click Save. To check our work, we have to clear the cache. I have a shortcut link in my left sidebar, so I'm going to click on the Test Clear Cache link and then the Clear Cache button. And then I also have a shortcut to get to an inquiry. So you may have to log in if you're not already logged into the portal, but I was already logged in. So now I'm just going to scroll down, and this is where the EIN number was, and it would have just been displayed as EIN, but now it's displaying our portal field, which is giving us the longer name there. And also when I hover over this help text, it shows the help text that I just entered in for that portal field. So that concludes our tutorial on creating a portal field record for FoundationConnect. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out our website and blog at www.sputnikmoment.com and like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/SputnikMoment. Thanks, and have a great day.